Welcome to the Business Men and Women of Color podcast. I am your host, Ann Alston, and it is once again my pleasure to bring quality programs to all of you. I am so excited again to be back here with another phenomenal professional here on the podcast because in 2018, this podcast is on fire with so many. Oh my goodness, I can't even tell you. So many people are on this podcast doing such amazing things, but you have to check out all the pages and you have to listen to the podcast to find out what they're talking about. Just in case you did not know, the purpose of the BMWC is to not only share our industry information, but we are also encouraging you, the working professionals, the career seekers, to look at the different lines of work that is out there and make the best decision for your professional career. So make sure that you take really good notes. Reach out to the BMWC family because they are here for you and you cannot get this information anywhere else other than the BMWC. One of the things we want to do before we get started is we're going to be thanking our corporate sponsors for this event, which are Cat Serrano, LLC, Cheryl Wood Empowers, Concern and Learning, Evangelism Radio, Genesis Preferred Solutions, J Coach International, Nails Tax Help, My Financial Home, Power, STCI, and the Student Teacher, along with our other business partners and sponsors who's helping to make this event a success. So today we have one of our business affiliate sponsors here on the podcast today. I think she's phenomenal. I didn't even know that people of color are even doing this kind of work, so I'm really excited about that. So I'm going to read a little bit of her bio here. We have Adrian Wells Lucas, who is the owner of the Wells Luxury Group, which is a boutique luxury concierge agency that serves everyone from the Atlanta Hawks to movie production companies, including Tyler Perry Studios and Lionsgate Entertainment. She was once a CBS affiliate anchor, and she has moved on into this industry, which is definitely very different. Some of the stuff that she actually offers in terms of her luxury services are housing accommodations, catering, private jet charters, car service, personal shopping. You ask for it, she gets it. That's what she does. And I am just so happy to have her on this podcast today because she leads by example and she keeps her team up to toes at all time to make sure that she is providing the best quality service. So welcome to the podcast, Adrian.
Oh, thank you so much, Ann. I really appreciate it for having me on.
No problem. So tell us who you are, where you from, and did you always wanted to be in concierge? I see you was in CBS, but let's talk about how you even got into journalism from the beginning.
Well, journalism came to me. I was actually, it's so funny. I was in my office, and this is just a testament to when you have good people around you and people who believe in you and what you do, and you treat them very fairly. Again, that's all part of concierge, and I never knew that I was even going to end up here, but I was in my real estate office, and my assistant had nominated me to do a real estate show for DirecTV. And I had already been doing a local show, and it's because I love to share information. I believe that when God gives you a talent, when He gives you a vision, you should share that with other people. It's just going to come back twofold, and it's just my way of paying it forward. And then the producers there contacted me and asked me would I be willing to do a real estate show that they had just started, DirecTV. So you can imagine how long ago that was.
Oh my goodness, yeah, DirecTV was the thing back
yes,
in the day.
it was. And so we were actually housed in the same area. It was a big open like warehouse. So in CBS affiliate had moved into there, and so we were all housed together. And there were another African American and myself. I had no news experience other than I knew how to speak well, I could deliver, but I wasn't at that level. And so they would watch me on the monitors delivering every morning. And when she had a baby, that's when God opened that opportunity for me. And they asked, "Hey, listen, we don't want to have to go outside and hire anybody. Can you just come on in? We'll train you. We'll do whatever we have to do, but can you fit right in here?" And so it was. After that, it was great. And from that, I decided that if anyone was going to give me an opportunity, I was A, going to thank God for it, but B, I was going to be the absolute best. So I went home, and every day, every morning, I would watch network news. I wouldn't watch local news because I'm at that level. I wanted to always be at a higher level. So I studied local news. I studied how they spoke, what they wore, the way they were able to get the interview and bring the most out of the people that they were interviewing, how they closed, what their tag looked like, their live shots and things like that. And it was from there. It was awesome. It was an amazing experience.
Wow, that is phenomenal. It's funny how, you're being put in certain situations and opportunities just come for you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You're right. I think the one thing that you said that stood out to me is that you always want to start looking at something higher than where you are,
Mhm.
because that afforded you to go on to be in CBS and do so many great things. And so talk about your experience being at CBS once you kind of got into the role of things. How was your experience there, and how many years were you at CBS?
I was there a little over 2 years,
Okay.
and I will tell you that it was a wonderful experience. One thing about being in news, you really have to bring your triple A game. You can't be a slacker. One of the things that I learned, and it's so funny, I learned this from a teacher. I was doing a story at school, and she says one of the things she teaches students is to be on time, on task, on target. There are absolutely no in-betweens. And so news is very much like that. You have to be on time. You have to get that story straight. You have to make sure you do your research. And more importantly, you need to deliver it in the most professional way. And when you deal with people, just think about it. One of the stories that I remember, um, this is one that's just so dear to my heart. I remember there was this young girl, and she was actually had got arrested for murder, and I don't know, first degree, second degree, I can't recall at this time, I'm so sorry, but she got arrested for murder, and I was the only one that she was willing to talk to. And so what I learned again from network is how to approach a person, how to make them feel so comfortable and so relaxed. Again, offering concierge services, making people feel good and happy. And in that particular
Okay.
situation, I had to get her to the point where she was willing to tell her story to me, and I will never forget this. It's not that she tried to murder her child. She was in a position where a lot of African American young women feel that they are in such desperate situations, where it was in Milwaukee, it was hot, and Milwaukee is normally a cold state, and she didn't have a babysitter. So she had just got that job, maybe about 2-3 weeks prior to all of this happening. She brought her baby, and of course, the story ended up very tragic because she left her baby in the car, rolled the window down just a little bit. It was really hot. Of course, the car overheated, and the baby passed away. And she was,
My
she's
goodness.
probably in jail right now for murder, and it was
Wow.
so tragic. I knew right then that I had to be an advocate to tell stories for our people, and because in that newsroom, oh, it's killer. Oh, they'll rip you apart, especially if you're a murderer or robber, or,
Hmm.
and you're in drugs or whatever. And after a while, it started to wear on me, and I wanted to
Okay.
start a family, and I wanted to do other things. So I was like, I had gotten awards, I was in magazines, and that was all great because I worked really hard to do that. But just getting back to that story, it was one that was dear to my heart because we are oftentimes put in situations where we don't know. And I truly believe that people don't know what they don't know. So if you could teach them, if you could share with them, if you can pay it forward, do that. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt, and doesn't even cost anything most of the
Right.
time. And I think that that's one of the things that I teach my children and I teach my staff. I heard when you read my introduction, you said she always keeps her staff on their tippy toes. Well, I make sure that everyone around me that comes into my circle that works with me, not for me, but with me, that we are aware of the people around us. How can we provide the very best service? How can we make these people feel amazing? Do you know how many times I've interviewed kids
Yeah.
in orphanages and
Wow.
no one's ever said good morning to them? No one ever says I love you to them. So
Mhm.
so again, I brought that same type of training that I got in news to my business that I have now.
Well, first of all, you said a lot of things that is near dear to my heart, and one is excellent customer service, making people feel comfortable so that you can actually work with them, get the information you need from them, share information, and of course, share information is my second biggest component because I love to share information and pay it forward. That's why I do what I do. I just get excited just talking about things, and even when I was a little girl, people used to say, "Oh, you just love good conversation." It wasn't even really a good conversation. It was like the more they were telling me, the more I was kind of like a sponge. I was like SpongeBob. I just wanted to keep sucking in information because the more that they talked, the more I was learning.
Mhm.
And people just thought, okay, I just love conversation. I'm like, if that's what you want to call it, that's all good. But like you said, I mean, people who work with me is the same, and I want people to hear that in these podcasts is that this is an information sharing, and if you're not taking it in and regurgitating it out to someone who needs that information, then you're not helping the situation. You're actually being part of the problem, and I'm
Sure.
so happy that to hear that you are doing stuff like that. So now we're going to turn the table to okay. So now you are in giving customer service. You somehow or another decided to open up Wells Luxury Group, and then how did that start off? Did it start off easy, or was it rough, or how did people actually take it? You leaving CBS and going into this new realm?
Well, I didn't go into it right after CBS. I went back into real estate. I did extremely well, and then I'm a native of the Midwest, so I moved to Atlanta maybe about 9.5 years ago. And I had only come down here in the summertime when I was in college, and I didn't have any friends, actually here when I moved here, and so it was rough to be very transparent with you. I had moved down here with my husband and our two kids at the time. I probably got a divorce within a year after being here, and I was, two children, and then we were having our third child. But I woke up every day, even though it was very difficult, because when you get a divorce, it's like a death. It's very
Oh
sometimes,
yeah,
it's
oh
very
yeah.
difficult to go through. But one of the things that I remember, she's actually on my team. Her dad was our pastor. You can't sit around and have a pity party all the time, right? Because when you do and you let things overwhelm you and overcome you, then you're non-productive. That's why, it's not even worth it to argue with people. So that being said, it was very
Hmm.
difficult. I mean, I went through a rough time.
Wow.
Um, but I said, you know what? One of the things that I know how to do is I know how to make great lemonade. Oh, so I started thinking about, okay, what do I need to do to turn these lemons into lemonade? I can make pink lemonade, raspberry, whatever it's going to take. I was going to do that because I now had these three kids, and they depend on me, and I wasn't going to worry about anything else, what I didn't have. He did this, and he did that. Again, I had to go back to what is it that I know, and I know how to be productive. I know how to make it. I know how to think fast forward and think outside that box and color outside those lines. And so I just put on my running shoes and I ran for it. I started immediately um, going out meeting people. You see, I'm very bold, so I don't
No,
mind.
you're absolutely fine. I mean, because I'm just want people to really hear what you're
Mhm.
saying is that you didn't allow anything to stop you because
Absolutely
you were,
not.
you coming back, you're a single mom, you have two
Mhm.
kids, one on the way, and you didn't say, okay, I give up. I'm just going to
Mhm.
wait and buy my time. You
Mhm.
actually put on your shoes and you said you ran for it and you just went.
Mhm.
And regardless of what happened, you set the pace and you kept with the
Absolutely.
pace. And I want people to hear that because whether you're a career or individual, I don't care what you're doing,
Mhm.
you have to keep going. We can't let circumstances get in our way. And if people listen to this podcast, if you go to even the ones from last year, everybody is doing the same thing. This is how
Mhm.
you succeed, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's why I want people to hear what you're really saying in that because I'm very inspired just listening to you. I remember I had to put on my jogging shoes
Oh,
too,
sure. Yeah.
way back in the day to figure out
Mhm.
how I'm going to make it forward. And so, that's how you have to do. So you ran forward.
I ran forward, and one of the things that my dad always says, he says, if you can look up, you can get up. There's no reason to sit around, no reason to have a pity party. You get up, and it doesn't matter how you get up. You got to push yourself up, jump up, do whatever, but you can go. So I ran forward. I started meeting people, and I remember one of the things that I always tell people in my conferences that I teach on how to attract high-end clients in any industries. I give you 5 steps to do that. Is that when people come up to you, look at that as it's a good opportunity or maybe not such a good opportunity, but I looked at it as an opportunity. I had no family, had no friends here, and a lot of PR people would come up to me. And this is when we start having, the real estate market crashed and no one was buying houses anymore. So could you imagine I'm going through a divorce and
Oh
no
my
one's
goodness.
buying any houses? And so I remember gas went to $4 a gallon. I was at my house saying, okay, I'm going to do as much as I can from home because, I can't go. I need to save this money. I'm not really making that much money. And it got really bad, so bad that I remember having my son, and those jugs, those water jugs, the water where you're around the water cooler.
Oh, yeah.
I was saving pennies, saving coins, and this and that. And
Yeah.
I remember shaking them out on the ground, and I remember getting all the money out of that there so I can buy gas. I remember that because I said I had to save every penny. I did.
Mm-hmm.
And as I met these people, I had one thing. I had assets. And people, it's almost having like the cookies in the cookie jar. Everybody wants one. And I had all of these luxury properties available, but no one wanted to buy. That's when I started turning lemons into lemonade. I then started asking people, okay, if you don't want to buy them, how about we rent them? So I started having events at the luxury properties. People would say, oh, can we have parties? Can we have this and that? I wouldn't so much give opportunities away, in those type of properties for parties, but I remember one person in particular said, hey, I'd love to have an event, with Tyler Perry Studios, and I could bring them. And I said, okay, I'll do one better. I have a property at the Four Seasons in Midtown Atlanta. It's a 2-story penthouse apartment. If you bring the people, I'll take care of everything else. Now, remember, I said I was saving all my money, so I was really going out on a limb on this one. I was like, okay, I had my credit.
You got me on suspense now. I want to hear it. You got me on suspense.
I said, woo, but I'm going to go out on a limb on this one. Okay. I literally spent the last money off my credit card. It was $6,000. I'll never forget that.
Oh, my goodness.
And remember, I have these 3 little babies, so I had no more fallback plan. Mm-hmm. I said, if you bring the people, I will have everything. And it's on YouTube today. That was my very first event. And it was called Men in Entertainment.
Wow.
And literally, we set it up where our company, the Wells Luxury, was honoring Roger Bob, DJ Eddie F. What's the one that owns Rainforest Films? I'll Google it while we're on this call. And all of them, we honored them. They had maybe about 100, 150 people in that penthouse, 2-story penthouse. Boris Cujo came by. Now, could you imagine me? I'm there. I don't know any of these people. Right. I have no idea who they all are. But you know what I did? Again, going back to opportunity. I said, this is my opportunity, Adrian. Get the sugar, get the lemons, get the knives, get ready because you got to make this happen. I literally went around to everyone in that room. I welcomed them. I told them, thank you for coming. I appreciate them. And Roger Bob said, is this what you do? And I said, of course, yes, I do. He says, are you selling this? Are you renting it? I said, either one. Which one would you like? I'm bold. Again, going back to that. He says, well, I have 12. It was either 12 or 13 cast and crew members coming in next Thursday. Can you find them all a place to stay? That was Meet the Browns. And then I also, right after that, I started doing House of Pain. I don't know, do you remember Meet the Browns?
I remember Meet the Browns in the House of Pain. Oh, yeah.
Yes. And as a matter of fact, Tamala and David are staying with me right now at one of the other properties that I have here in Atlanta. It's so funny because they were my first A-list clients. So getting back to that, Roger Bob, he said, can you do it next week? Again, didn't know anybody, didn't have any friends. This was my first gathering, but I got everybody's cards, everybody's contact during that party. I put on my running shoes again. We're going back to that. And I started going to every high-rise that I could that he had given a reference to that they think they might like to stay in. I started talking with the concierge. Hey, do you know anyone who has vacation rent properties? Are they there? Do you know any absentee owners? Now, remember, I have a real estate background, so it wasn't hard for me to know exactly what to ask and how to move forward.
Okay.
And by the end of that week, I had all his properties, all of them, completely ready to go. And that's where that concierge service took off because while they were there, they needed so many other things. I remember one of the actors was expecting, hey, do you know a doctor? Do you know if he could come here versus me going to the office all the time? Do you know someone a car service that I can get back and forth to the airport? And from there, I said, hey, I'm onto something. Again, I think outside that box. I color outside that line. So I'm thinking, wow, not only am I going to provide the housing, I'm going to provide all of their concierge services. I'm going to provide all of their needs with their home from their home away from home. and that's how I began that service. And
Wow.
mhm.
So amazing. So
Thanks.
amazing how that just
Thanks.
snowballs down,
Yeah.
and you just kind of just went for it because
Mhm.
yeah, anytime you kind of have to you start with that first thing, of course, they're going to need everything because
Absolutely.
they are high famous clients. They can't really like go out and get a lot of stuff. So you're that go between that says I can provide that for you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is fabulous. And so how
Yeah.
long you been doing the concierge service?
I've been for about 9 years now. 9 years here in Atlanta.
Nine
Mhm.
years.
And
Okay.
because I was a news reporter, it was easy for me to work with celebrities and athletes. Remember, I've interviewed those type of people, so I felt very comfortable in that space.
Okay. So do you do any work for smaller businesses or people who are not high clients?
Oh, sure. We're all important. We really are, and that's how we treat everyone. But there's a lot of corporate clients that
Mhm,
contact me.
mhm.
That's kind of like the third tier that I work with. So it's celebrities and athletes and corporate clients. So a lot of people who are small businesses, and like I'm a small business. I don't think I'm mid-size or large. I'm boutique, and they need my services. So say they're traveling and they want a nice property, but they want to be able to bring their staff. And so then they would call me and see what can I offer. And especially if they're out of town or out of the country, I have a lot of clients that come from out of the country, then yeah, I serve them as well. Because remember, with television and film, there always is going to be season. And right now we're getting into TV season, television and film season, and then they take a hiatus during the winter months and things like that. So I'm
Okay.
gearing up for the high season right now.
Wow. Okay. So you mentioned earlier that you had some tips on how to attract clients. So I
Sure.
think that that would be a great, way to go into the next segment of any kind of tips that you want to share that you want the listeners to know, because most of these people who are listening to yours are going to be entrepreneurs, whether they are seasoned or first time, and just sharing with them, just basic practices on how to get a client.
Okay, so I teach 5 steps to attracting the high-end clients of your dreams in any industry. So whether you're a nail tech, a hairstylist, a lawyer, an accountant, and those 5 steps that I teach are the look, the language, the plan, the process, and of course the results. I offer it in a course that I teach. I have webinars, and then I have a digital book coming out, and then I'm actually going to be the author of that book, that particular hard copy book. So what I do is that I teach people that you might not have a personality like mine or yours because you're just so open and you'll talk to people and things like that, right? And then sometimes people don't know, you said the new entrepreneur, the millennials, or even the ones who already have businesses, but they want to go to the next level. So we start with the look. I'll give you just a few tips. So the look can be anything from a nice pair of basic black slacks, a black skirt, and a white top, something that looks presentable, something can fit in any situation. When you see people at a bank, that's appropriate, right? You go out to dinner, that would be appropriate. You're going to meet a new client, that would be appropriate. That's a look, very basic look. I talk about places that you can go and get those looks. There's a lot of, consignment stores, or you might go and have to buy a shirt from Target and a pant from Banana Republic, but you don't break the budget while you're doing that. Then we talk about the language. It's very, very important that you speak the language of that client that you're trying to attract. And I don't necessarily mean a foreign language. For example, if you are trying to get a person, if you sell rims, okay, we're going to just say rims. My cousin, he opened up a high-end rim shop, so he only does like
Mm,
the Hummers and things like that, right?
okay.
So that
Okay.
language, you have to know what type of product. So when I'm in news, we have a tag, we have what does copy mean, those type of things. So if you're trying to work with someone who is sell rims or is, what have you, you need to learn kind of like what the language that they speak. We all can learn that. You can just Google that. That's very, very
Yep.
simple. Another thing too is that would you meet these people? I teach you where to go. You'd be surprised at the hotel. You can go to a high-end hotel, stay at the bar. You don't even have to order anything. You can order a 7-Up and put a lime in, and they'll think you're having a martini or what have you, and strike up a type of conversation. Then I talk about your plan. It's just almost like having your business plan. You really need to have your finances in order, because if you're going to work with high-end clients, in more, in several occasions, you will have to spend out a little more money before you start making a return on your investment or an ROI. All right? And that just means that, say, for example, if you are the high-end client says, hey, meet me at City Club of Buckhead. I belong to City Club of Buckhead, and I'll meet you there. Well, you might not be expecting it. And if you're just starting off, valet costs $10 or $20, or maybe they want you to meet there at their country club or what have you, and things like that. You want to be prepared to buy your own lunch. I talk about that. We also talk about developing your elevator speech. What makes that high-end client want to work with you? Because remember, when working with high-end clients, you have to have value. How are you going to add value to their life? And so I teach them that. And, of course, we talk about the process that it takes and how you hang in there. So everything from your finances to making sure that, you have an attorney, to your documents are in order, and that you have an accountant to make sure how you can have certain tax breaks and things like that. And, of course, your results and how you're able to results. To me, the biggest part of the results are being consistent and being able to maintain that client. I just told you that I started working with Tyler
Right.
Perry Studios 9 years ago,
Right.
right?
9 years ago. Still.
They're still my client today because I'm
Wow.
extremely focused and I'm very
Hmm.
consistent. You see, I don't go girlfriend on you. I don't go, this my boy and this my girl. I don't do that because people in that arena and that level, look at how Tyler Perry has grown. He's grown from doing plays to what? Now he's on the OWN network. He's
Right.
huge, right? But he had to show some level of consistency in
Hmm.
order to be able to work with people in that industry that are at such a high level.
Right.
And
And
so that's
everything,
like,
right.
hmm
And everything you said right there requires consistency because, everything you said is pretty much what anybody needs to do, period.
yes, in
And
any
if you,
industry.
right. And one of the things that I find sometimes when I'm working with other small businesses is that consistency is not there. They doing it, but they're not doing it all the time, and it shows in their products, it shows in their services, it shows in how they speak, like you said, the elevator pitch, it just shows, period. And then you lose that first impression, and I always say that first impressions is everything.
Mhm.
It is everything. So if you're not consistent in every little thing you do, even when I do this podcast, I say the same opening every single time, and
Sure.
almost the same exact way, because I want people to see that I'm
Mhm.
very consistent in what I'm doing, and that's very important. You really gave a lot of good nuggets. And so can people find this on your website for the course?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we have a current website. It's awesome, but we have an amazing website that we're just launching. We're just putting the final tweaks at it. www.thewellsluxurygroup.com. I'm on IG, Instagram at Wells Luxury, of course at Facebook at Wells Luxury, and on Twitter. And so, yeah, you can find out more about my webinars, also some of the products that we have. One of the things we just rolled out, you're talking
Mhm.
about being consistent, and I'd love to have you come down. When you come down to Atlanta, please be my guest. We just rolled out Luxury Society,
Ooh.
and I just purchased a suite at Phillips Arena, and that is to be able to entertain the guests that come in, the celebrities, the athletes, and we're opening up for membership for certain people who are ready to go to that next level and
Mhm.
operate and network in that upper level and that next level
So
space.
where in Atlanta will this location?
The Luxury Society, it's our group. Our office is here in Atlanta. It's called The Luxury Society, and you can find that on our social media. We're
Mhm.
opening up for memberships, and so those are to give you opportunities to get to a lot of networking games and social events and golf outings and private
Mhm.
dinners and things like that we as a people, honestly, since I've been here, that
Mhm.
we probably wouldn't have access to.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like bust down the door then, and then, of course, you can find all of that information on our website at www.thewellsluxurygroup.com.
Okay. Are you involved in any other speaking activities
I
that
am.
you want people
Thank you.
to? Yeah,
My
because I
team would
want.
be mad if I didn't say that.
Well, you gotta tell
So,
them when you're gonna be so people can
yes,
come and
yeah.
see you, because you're
Yeah,
such a great speaker. So I want people to be able to see you in person.
thank you. Maybe if you have a opportunity, I'll come down there and I'll speak there too as well.
Awesome.
As a matter of fact, I was just going to be in your area, but I canceled because I have a conflict of schedule. My daughter is getting ready to graduate, so we have a couple of things. But I am
Okay.
speaking here.
Mhm.
I'm doing a new conference. I teach people also how to make six figures, just in doing real estate, but not necessarily owning property. And it's one of the things that's one of the things. And then I also, again, teach how to make, the 5 steps to working with the high-end clients. And then also people hire me and just have me come. I'd love to do it at colleges. I'd love to do that. I would do that, no problem at all. I don't even need to be paid for it because I really feel
Mhm.
that's a way to me to pay it forward, to really
Nice.
teach college students. These are, even if you don't ever work with a high-end client, these are the steps you have to know and you have to be aware of and you have to practice to really be competitive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely,
mhm.
absolutely. And I love the fact that you are paying it forward because I was going to ask that question about where you're going to be and where you want to speak. But it's good. I want people to actually reach out to you because you have some really good tips out there because not every day we have people in the minority community that's doing what you're doing.
Oh, thank
And
you. Mhm.
and really, I mean, if you kind of look at your whole experience, have you ran into any other people of color or minorities who is doing the type of work that you do?
Well, I tell you, there's a lot of people that I have mentored, and my team says, it goes back to what you said. I'm always giving away. Are you giving away all the information? No, it's enough for everybody. So there are a few people who have tried, and that's fine, right? It is, because what God has for me, it is just for me. It has my name on it. But I don't know anyone who has a minority company. There's a lot of Anglos around that may do what I do, but I seem to think and I believe that I go the extra mile. You see, it's not about money because money comes. It is about relationships. It is about being consistent. It is about taking you and your business and the people who are with you to the next level. And we all can do that. We
That's
can.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'll be speaking. Just check me out on Instagram and Facebook and things like that because my team will be mad if I didn't say that.
All right,
They
folks,
got
you
to make
heard
sure.
it. You heard
Mhm.
it from Miss Wells right here, talking about how you can take it to the next level. I mean, I can't even summarize everything she said because everything she said was so great. So if you missed anything in this particular podcast, please make sure you rewind. Also, check out her information down below if you're interested in any of her webinars to learn more about how she was able to, do what she do right now, and she does it so well. Make sure you reach out to her, reach out to other people in this podcast that you feel that's going to help you take it to the next level. And again, Adrian, thank you again for being a BMWC business affiliate
Thank
sponsor,
you.
joining the movement and
Yes, it's
supporting
my
small business
pleasure.
and authors. And really am blessed to have known you and definitely would like to connect with you and continue building our relationship going
Yes, and when my book
forward.
comes out, I'll
That's
make
right.
sure that I come back on and I can share that with you. Maybe I'll
That's
come down there, come there in person.
Yeah, absolutely. And if your
Amazing.
book happens to come out before this
Mhm.
podcast, just make sure you send me a copy of your book and
Oh,
your
I will.
cover so we can put it here on this page and the link so that people can purchase your book as well. So,
Oh, thank you. It's going to be
yeah,
out later this year, probably like early fall, if
okay.
not before. But yeah, I'll definitely make sure that I tell you. And I look definitely forward to working with you again and speaking with you again.
Awesome. Fantastic.